Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our April edition of our professional development webinars. I'm glad to see everybody signing on this morning and getting on, and I hope that you're going to get a lot out of today. I'm really excited about Brian and Deb from Ransom County to share with us about their recruitment events, because it's been about a year and we've been hearing about their famous rally they do to recruit their youth, and a lot of people have been wanting to hear about that. But what I found out after talking to them, that they do way more than just that one event. So they're going to share the different events they use in their county to recruit new 4-H families to their program, and I hope that you can get a lot out of it and maybe implement some of their ideas. And just a little commercial for next month. Our next one is going to be May 19th. And Erin Bain, she's from the American Income Life. She's the one who works with our state for 4-H-wide insurance policy. She's going to be presenting next month to answer questions that you might have about, do you need special activity insurance? Do I not? What do I get for overnight events? So be sure and join in for that. And I'll send out an email reminder about that as well. And we won't meet in June or July. So we'll take a little break for the summer. Okay, well, I'm going to turn it on over to Brian and Deb, and they'll be glad to take your questions throughout as well and hear some feedback as well. So Brian and Deb.
Thank you, Megan, and I guess good morning, everyone. And we're gonna first of all put a disclaimer out there: is we're not the experts on this, and we're just sharing a couple things that we've started and think that have worked to some success for us. And like Megan said, we do a roundup event in the fall, but we also went a little bit further and looked at other events that we may consider recruitment events that we don't necessarily call them recruitment events. So what we're going to talk about today is our 4-H Roundup and Olympics, our Ransom County Fair, our 4-H Carnival, summer day camps that we do during the summer, as well as some school programs that we put together. So I guess right now I'm going to let Deb kind of take over and talk about our 4-H Roundup and Olympics.
Well, this event started, like it says, in 2018, and we had a couple leaders that came in and said, could we just do something fun to celebrate 4-H for 4-H week? And so we decided to do like an Olympics with various activities, and then the public could come. We advertised it in the paper, and we have an electronic sign downtown. And then in 2019, we did make it into more of a recruitment event. We had an advisory council meeting, and one of our advisory members had just commented, I wish at the fair that you could have clubs set up booths. And so if we want to join 4-H, we could see who the different clubs are, when they meet, what they do, and in helping us decide in choosing a club. Well, our fair is really jam-packed, and our expo center is very full. And so we really didn't think clubs would have time to man those booths, and we didn't know if we'd have space to put those booths. So we decided to incorporate it into the roundup. And so each club had a booth, and they just highlighted some of the things that they do in their booth. And then they had a list of members and leaders and when they meet and that kind of stuff. And then some of our other groups also decided to have a booth. Hippology, they had a booth, just kind of showing what they do. And our livestock judging team had a booth, and so they again just presented some things that they do, highlighted some of those things. And then I had our county ambassadors do a couple different booths. They had the tongue depressor catapult activity at one, so the kids could stop and make that, and then they had a little snack that they made in another booth. And so just finding out a little bit about the ambassadors, and then it was an activity for them to do. And so the kids were divided into teams, and they just participated in all these different games. We did serve a meal. Brian grilled hamburgers and hot dogs, and so they could eat when they came, and then we kind of got into this and as they were milling around, etc. And then we also set up computers so that new families could enroll, because sometimes it is hard to figure out that enrollment and get going on that. And also existing families could re-enroll if they wanted. And so Robbie was available to help them do that. And so that day we had five families that signed up, and you know, we had others after that. It's always hard to judge, well, was it because of that event or other things? And then obviously last year we were not able to have that event. So that's kind of what the roundup encompasses. So.
Hey, Brian, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
I suppose it'd help if I unmuted.
Hey.
So our Ransom County Fair, not necessarily maybe titled a recruitment event, but it is when we start considering what it does for our program. And the other nice thing about our Ransom County Fair is it's held right at the end of August, the last weekend of August. So, you know, we're finishing up the current club year, getting into that new club year. School's just getting started. All the enthusiasm from the fair carries into the school year, and we get out some brochures to hand out in our middle or elementary school, right when school's beginning to highlight the 4-H program. So a lot of enthusiasm at that time, and I think our Ransom County Fair kind of gives us a little bit of a boost there. You know, Ransom County, if you live in the county, more than likely you're going to come to the Ransom County Fair for at least one day. Many you see families walking through our static exhibit area. The kids are seeing all these neat exhibits that 4-H members have done throughout the year. They're walking through the barns. We have 4 barns that are completely full of livestock, and they see all their friends up in the barns working on their animals or doing this or doing that, and they want to join their friends and be able to be a part of it. So and then we have when we come up, or when we're in the expo center where our static exhibits are, we also have our extension booth set up there with 4-H information, where they can pick up pamphlets on 4-H. They can drop their name in a bucket to where they can, when we're done with the fair, we go through that, and families requesting additional material on 4-H, we send them out a new family packet and get all that information. And then to go along with some of that, we also have Deb set up a scavenger hunt looking for clover bear each day during the fair. And so again, we're kind of highlighting 4-H. Deb goes through and hides the 4-H bear throughout the expo center, and the first kid that comes in and finds a clover bear that day and finds Deb or Robbie, they get a prize for that day, and then we do it all over the next day. So sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's very easy. And then we also hide 4-H clovers throughout the fairgrounds, where kids can find all these clovers or figure out how many clovers are hid throughout the fairgrounds. And again, prizes are given out based on correct answers on how many clovers, and they're hid throughout our barns, up at our horse arena, through our expo center again. So just to get kids to go through and see all the different things that 4-H has to offer. So we do quite a few different things with our Ransom County Fair.
Hey, Deb, we had a question from Sue Millender about examples of 2-team games that you played. I guess she's talking about the roundup.
Okay, on the roundup.
Is that right, Sue? Okay, yeah.
They did like stick horse races. We had sack races. It was egg relay. So just basically a lot of those relay things that, you know, you've done over and over and over. The second year, they were given marshmallows and spaghetti and to build the tallest tower. And if we did that again, I would have a piece of cardboard for them to work on because we scraped a lot of smashed marshmallows off the floor afterwards. So it's a little bit messy. And then they had a scavenger hunt too of things to find that, you know, it might be a shoelace or a rubber band or whatever that they could find around the expo. And so those were some of the things that we did.
And when we made the teams, sorry, Sue, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so your timeline, like you met at what, 5 to 6 and had kind of the open area, and then you had 6 to 8 and play games. I'm just looking for a timeline.
I think we went 1 to 4, and I believe Megan has a flyer that is posted in the chat, maybe. I can't see chat, so.
Yeah, I put a PDF in the chat box. Is their Ransom County 4-H Roundup promo.
Okay.
And I just put in there again. I could put in there again in case people just signed on. So that has some of the information on there as well.
Great, thanks.
But our timeline was 1 to 4. It was, and we kind of focus around 4-H week, and it all depends if we go the beginning of 4-H week or the end of 4-H week, just due to using our 4-H Expo Center and when it's rented. So I think the first year we did it prior to 4-H week, and the 2019 we did it at the end of 4-H week, if I remember right. But it was, and we usually do it on a Sunday afternoon, 1 to 4. So 1 o'clock, most people are done with church services and can come over, and like I said, we do hot dogs, brats, nothing big, or burgers and hot dogs, and I think for about the first hour, it gave families time to walk around and look at the booths and interact with the clubs that were there present to find out what the clubs do, and then from there we worked on games. So, and when we split up the teams, we tried to get older 4-H members mixed in with the younger 4-H members, or new kids mixed in with a good mix of other kids, so that there was a good representation across the board and a good mix of everyone. So.
And it worked well to set up those teams, you know, because kids will always go with their friends or go with their club or whatever. So it was nice to kind of mix those teams up and intersperse them throughout. So we also have a County 4-H Carnival, and that is our big fundraiser each year. However, the last 3 years, we've not been able to have it. We scheduled it 2 or 3 times in 2019, and every time we scheduled it, we had a blizzard. So we gave up on that one. And then 2020, obviously, we didn't have it. And this year, we just did not feel comfortable hosting it either, because as you can see in that picture, our expo center is packed with people. And so it's just too many people in a space, even if it is a large space. But it really does turn out to be a community event, and it really is geared toward younger families. And so it just lots and lots and lots of families bring their kids. And so it's not a recruitment event, but it certainly creates an awareness, because everyone knows it's the 4-H Carnival. And so they just are aware. Each clubs have several booths that they man, and it's, like I said, it's a fun evening. Our ticket prices are really cheap, so it's an inexpensive evening. And I think it just promotes kind of family time and a chance to be together, but they certainly do associate it with 4-H. So it's still a promotion, promoting 4-H in that too. And kids in school talk a lot about it. I know if I'm in the schools around this time, in the middle school, they call it the teachers call it the middle school prom, because everybody is trying to decide who they're going with and what they're going to wear. And so it gets to be kind of a big deal. And so, and it's a tradition. It has gone on here for a long time. So. And day camps, I do a lot of day camps in the summer, and they're open to anyone. So it isn't just 4-H members, but it always, you know, we highlight 4-H in there. And so again, it's not necessarily recruitment, but it certainly creates an awareness of 4-H. And, you know, when the flyers or whatever are made available, we're advertising what day camps they are. Of course, it has extension and 4-H on it. So that's the association they put with those day camps. And we try to highlight different ages in those camps too, from younger kids to older kids, and then different areas that might be interesting to, so it brings in a variety of kids that way. And
Are they all day long, Deb, or a couple hours a day?
I generally don't do them all day long. For one thing, it's just an extra hassle to feed kids and an extra expense. And so I generally do them in the afternoons. We'll start like at 1 and we probably go until 4, depending on what the topic is. You know, maybe it's a 2-hour one, maybe it's a 3-hour one. I've done a couple that have carried over. You know, we need more than that time period. So there'll be like 2 afternoons in a row and the kids can come back then, and projects have time to dry, or you know, the next step or whatever, and they can finish them up. So.
Can you give me an example or two of some projects you've done?
Let's see. Well, a few years back, Cindy and I did Junkin Camp out at 4-H camp. And so I have done one similar to that in my county, just, you know, with a variety of things. Last year, since we couldn't have day camps, I had a lot of those supplies left. And so it turned out really fun. Even though we didn't get to be in person, I fixed up a kit and kids could sign up and pick up that kit, and it had all this so-called junk in it, and they needed to complete X number of projects, and they had to use at least one of each of the items that were in there. And so I called it a chopped crafts or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but kind of modeling it after that chopped food program. And no one was going to get chopped, and they knew that. But and then we were able to do a Zoom at the end, and they could show those projects. But a lot of them are kind of make and take it type things. Kids like to make stuff like that. I've done a scrapbooking one where I've gotten the trunk from NDSU, and that one was actually it turned into a 3-day one because the kids were having so much fun with it, they didn't want to quit. And I'd had it as a 2-day one, but we extended it a 3rd day then, and so they could just work on. I did one time on water safety, and so we just had beach towels spread out that we sat on beach towels and talked about water safety, did some activities with that, and then we did some projects that kind of focused around sand and beach type themes and that kind of stuff.
Do you have a requirement for the number of kids that sign up? Like you need to have 5 kids or 10 kids or you won't be able to do it?
I do. You know, most of these, I'm not going to do them for 2 or 3 kids because, well, it's not that much fun for 2 or 3 kids to be there by themselves. And then it's a lot of work for us to get this all ready for 2 or 3 kids. So yeah, I mean, and I do set a limit on the clubs or on the camps, but it really depends what the day camp is. Some of them, you know, we can have a whole bunch of kids. Some of them might be limited to 6 kids. And then the minimum, that kind of goes along with that camp too, if I think it's doable. One that I did summer before last was on succulents. And then the kids made so they learned about succulents, etc. And then the kids made a fairy garden or a dinosaur garden or whatever. They brought the stuff that they wanted to decorate their garden with. And so, so some of those, you know, you can have more, and others that need, you know, I've done some sewing type project ones, and those are very small day camps because there's only one of me and they all need help, it seems like. And so
what day of the week have you found that these work best, or month of the year where you have your best attendance? June, July, August?
well, that's always throw a dart at the calendar and hope it works. There's not a magic day. I generally wait until middle to end of July and into August, because then most of the baseball, t-ball programs are winding down. Swimming lessons are kind of over. A lot of the Bible schools have been. And so that seems to work well. I tried sometimes in June and I just did not get a good attendance because kids were busy with other things. So it seems if you go a little later in the summer, then they're looking for things to do, and some of those summer activities have wrapped up. And so that's what's worked pretty good for us.
Hey, Deb, can you talk a little bit about maybe like costs and how you advertise this event, these events?
Okay. Costs vary on the camp, depending on what the supplies are going to be, etc. A lot of our camps run around $10, something like that. Some of them have been, you know, up to 20 if there's going to be a lot of supplies, etc. And then I try to, you know, explain on there what it's going to include and so forth, so that they know why they're paying this 10 or 20 or whatever dollars. Advertising. We can do some advertising in our local paper, but generally if we're charging for the event, then they expect us to pay for an ad. So that's not always a great option. We do have that electronic sign that's been good. A lot of years we'll have our day camps put together and have a little flyer that we send home at the end of the school year. And I have lots of moms say, oh, I've got it in my fridge. And so I remind me to call and sign the kids up. And that has worked really well. You know, I'm sure not every one of them gets home, but a lot of them do. And that's free advertising, so it doesn't cost us anything. And then, you know, 4-H newsletter, et cetera. And we always say they can, you know, you can bring a friend even if they're not in 4-H. And a lot of times that happens. We'll have 4-H members sign up, but then they bring another friend along who might not be a 4-H member. So.
Deb and Brian, do you guys have checklists that you could send me for each of these?
I don't know if we really have checklists for the day camps.
How about for the others, not necessarily your fair, but for the Roundup Olympics and then the Carnival?
Oh, the Carnival, yes, it's a book. If you know our office and if you know Robbie, you know there's a checklist for everything. So yes, for the Carnival, we have a very detailed checklist. The Roundup, we probably have a short checklist for that. This club that really started this we've kind of turned the activity part and the games and stuff over to them. So it's different every year, you know, according to what they want to do. And, you know, it's always fun if you have leaders in clubs that want to take ownership in something. And when they were the ones who wanted to start it, it was like, well, let's not try to take it over and let's, you know, let's let them do it. And so that's kind of how that one has worked.
And Deb, for the expo, how do you advertise that through the schools?
For the Roundup part?
Roundup.
Yes, it goes out in 4-H newsletters, which obviously that's 4-H families, but that one we generally can put something in the paper because there's no fee for it. Sometimes like 2 years ago, our paper was really good. They had it on the front page of the paper, so it was very obvious. And we had quite a few new families, new to the area even, that came thinking, well, this is a way we can meet some people, our kids can meet some kids, etc. So the paper is really good about doing that. And then again, that electronic sign that we have. And our clubs are pretty good about promoting it too, and inviting kids that they know might be interested in coming to it. And, you know, the first year is always kind of, well, will anyone turn out? But we had a decent turnout. And then the next year it was even better. And now we will have, you know, missed a bit in there, but so.
And like Deb said, the newspaper, that helps us too when we're connected with 4-H week, because they're always looking to do something to help us during 4-H week too. So to get that in during 4-H week is a little bit easier than maybe some other times of the year too. So.
And they do generally do a full page or half page on 4-H in Ransom County. And so that really draws attention to, and they get sponsors for that. So that doesn't cost us anything. But.
This is awesome.
Anything else on day camp?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I guess Deb talked about quite a few of her day camps, and I probably don't do quite as many, but we've done some different woodworking type camps. We've done some outdoor fishing, wildlife type camps. So there's some of those that we've done as well that kind of follow the same format as what Deb does with her day camps.
Another one that Brian and I did together, and it's been quite a few years, but there's that trunk with animal tracks, et cetera, in it. And that one was really fun because there's things that kids can touch in there. You know, there's a lot of items, and they had a lot of fun with that trunk. So that was a really good one. And there's a lot of activities in that trunk. And that one is a little bit more, I mean, you know, can work for boys or girls. Sometimes, you know, one might sway one way or the other more so, but.
So I guess our last slide of, we do a lot of stuff up in the schools. And sometimes I wonder if the school should pay part of Deb's salary anyway, but for the amount of time that she's over in the school. But again, she does a great job over there. And I didn't list all of her programs. Otherwise, we probably need 3 or 4 slides that, but some of the other ones that we do a Harvest North Dakota for 4th grade, much like Egg in the classroom that some of the bigger cities do. We bring in about 300 kids from the surrounding areas in 4th grade. And again, when you start connecting extension to 4-H, and then they start seeing us at these different events, they start putting start connecting all the dots. And so again, maybe not necessarily a intention for a recruitment, but it does help with some of that as well. Our Garden Fun program that we are just getting ready to do, we go into the kindergarten through 4th grade here for the next 2 weeks. We're going to start on Monday and go for the next 2 weeks, hitting 350 some kids, I think it is this year. And we talk about gardening. We talk about planting seeds, and they all get to plant seeds, as you can see in the picture on the right side there. This is a group of kids over in Enderlin that they just finished planting, and they got their seeds in front of them, or their planted seeds in front of them. We do little lessons with them. We spend about an hour and a half with each class doing something there. And the middle picture is our abbreviated Garden Fund for last year. Since we couldn't get into the schools, we had families request seeds, and we did something there as well. But when we're in the classrooms as well, going through gardening, we also talk about the ability that these kids, even if they're not in 4-H at the current time, they can still take produce over to the fair and exhibit at the fair at the end of August. And then they start talking a little bit about 4-H during that time as well. The picture on the left, not necessarily a class or a school program. That's one of our showcase events. And this year, I think Deb said we were about 45 kids that participated in showcase this year. So our Progressive Ag Safety Day coming up here again in a couple weeks. We are in the schools with our 5th, 6th, and 7th grade this year, I guess, and typically our 5th and 6th grade kids, and working with them. And it's never fails that we're talking with this group of kids or another group of kids, and they may talk about, oh, you're with 4-H, and then it starts a conversation with the other kids in the class as well. So may not intend to do that, but it helps. And then all of Deb's lessons. So I think she's got a couple things to highlight there, but.
And I do a lot of the same ones that all of you do too. But you know, we don't have necessarily a series for every age group. And so then of course those teachers always feel like their class is left out. So they've approached me with different topics and asked me to do. And so I do pretty much go into each of the classrooms, and inevitably there's kids in those classrooms that will say, I'm in 4-H, or I know you, and then, you know, kind of again generates that conversation. And so I really enjoy that part. It's a lot of fun. And I do think, you know, any of those handouts that go home, again, it promotes extension, it promotes 4-H. Our gardening has just mushroomed into a huge program, and Facebook has really been our friend with that, because at the end of the summer, families will highlight pictures of what they grew. Last year we had to do the kits then, obviously, because we weren't in the classrooms. But so there was one family that had a humongous pile of gourds and squash, etc., that they had grown. And somebody's like, well, where did you get that? And oh, the extension office had, so they do really promote it through that. The first year we did it, one grandma put on Facebook that her little boy her grandson had brought home a pumpkin plant from school that the extension office had planted with them. And he got 45 pumpkins off of that one plant. And so he had sold them and then donated the money to the food pantry. And so what a great advertising for us, and what a great outcome from, we always say, one seed can make a huge difference. And so it's been really fun just to see. And, I think one thing kind of plays off another thing. And like a lot of programs, success breeds success. So, when one thing is successful, then it leads to another thing and people want to be a part of it. And with our showcase event also, that was really, it was not very good attendance of several years ago. So we decided, what could we tie it into that people are already at? And so we did tie it into our carnival. So we have an addition on the Expo Center, and that is filled for activities or exhibits. And so everyone that's at the carnival oftentimes walks through that room and sees all those displays. And so again, it's a great 4-H promotion, and lots of people are getting to see those displays rather than, oftentimes we just do it with the kids that participate. And so the families that are there see it, and that's all. And so.
I really like that story you shared about the pumpkin, Deb. That was really cool. Thanks for sharing that. I'll have to remember that one. If I just want to, there's a few questions in the chat box I want to maybe address before you move on to the next one. I see Leanne dropped the link to all our trunks in the chat box. Thanks, Leanne. And so those are great opportunities to use for summer camps, day camps this summer. And then from Sarah Crimmins, she has, I think this is for Brian. Do you have resources to conduct a school program related to garden or seeds?
I guess what we've done is we can certainly share what we've done, but we have a different lesson for each of the grades that we go into, so that when we go back the next year, they're learning something different, and it starts to build off the previous year. And so by the time they get to 4th grade, they're done 4 or 5 different things, and we've got a activity, a art project that they do. And when we get to the 4th grade, their art project gets a little out of hand once in a while, that we get them to make paper hats that they have to decorate with the nutrients needed to grow a seed. And it gets loud, it gets crazy, it gets some of the creations that they come up with are rather unique. So, but this is a program that Deb and I have truly enjoyed over the last few years, getting into the classrooms and working with these kids. And but yes, Sarah, we can share something with you and see what we can do there. So.
Okay, thanks. If you want to send it to me, I guess I could send it out to everybody.
One other thing on that, a few years ago, both Brian and I were able to attend a national conference, and Texas A&M has a huge school gardening program that they do, I think, throughout the school year. And if you attended both of their sessions, you could get the CD disc and also the binder for that. So one of us went to one and one of us went to the other. And so we did get that information. So I've kind of just pulled ideas from that. We've looked through other sources. The gardening one I saw Danielle just had posted in the chat box. We just kind of have pulled ideas from here and there. I do use a book, a storybook that goes with each one that highlights whatever theme or lesson topic that we're teaching in that classroom. And then, like Brian said, the activity we have that goes with it, and then planting.
Okay, that's great. Okay, so Jessica wants to know, who is y'all's main contact at the schools?
Our main contact, I guess it depends on which school. Lisbon, Well, when we get going in the springtime with this program, just touching base, we send an email to all of the teachers with the principals carbon copied on the email so that everyone knows what's going on. When we do Enderland, they kind of have one main teacher that responds to us and gets everything that we need. So right now, in the last week and a half, we've been trying to put together a schedule of when we're going to be in each classroom. In Enderland, this individual puts together the whole list for us and sends it to us, so we're not getting 10 emails from all the teachers. The Lisbon school has a few more classes, and there I actually just sent a schedule of open dates and times to the secretary there, and she hung it up for all the teachers to come in and sign up for the dates and times. And then she just sent that back to me last night. So we really try to go directly to the teachers, but keep the principals in the loop of what's going on.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, now I see from Hannah, and she says, when it comes to your ag safety days, do you have waivers parents need to sign?
Yes, we go through the Progressive Ag Foundation program, so they have a guideline of everything that needs to be done. And yes, they do have waivers that each child that participates must turn in. If they do not turn them in, they are not allowed to participate in that day's events.
Okay, that's all the questions I see for right
Okay.
now. So we can move on. Thank you.
Well, I guess probably this was our last slide, and we wanted to really kind of leave this open for questions, as well as, I think, like I said at the beginning, we're not the experts in this. Other counties do amazing things as well, and I think this is an great opportunity for those counties to maybe share some of their recruitment opportunities. But I just want to say that we tried to point out several things that we do that may not necessarily be termed a recruitment effort, but it is a recruitment effort because we're always in contact with those kids and families. And I think many of you can look at your same activities that you do around the county, that you do a lot of recruitment. It just may not be coined a recruitment tool.
Okay, I see one more question. Can we get some more information on the ag safety days?
Progressive Ag Safety Day, again, it's a national program that you apply for to go under that umbrella, I guess. And what Progressive Ag Safety does is you have to attend a yearly training, whether in person or through distance learning. You have to be in person so many times before you can do it online. But they also provide many topics along with resources of topics and lesson plans and activities to do. They provide t-shirts for all the kids and instructors, and they provide in excess insurance if anyone were to get hurt during that day. So they'll pay anything above what the family's current insurance won't cover, or if a family does not have insurance, they'll cover the whole thing. So we've been on this, I forget how long now, since probably, I've probably done 12 or 13 years of this. So good program. Some some hoops you got to jump through. Again, you could do this on your own, just won't have the t-shirts unless you have people that can sponsor or donate or provide the insurance. But again, we do this for 5th and 6th grade. I think it's a great time for those kids where they're starting to get more active, maybe on farm, out in the farms, or doing stuff around town. And we try not to necessarily do everything ag focused. We do a lot on lawnmower safety and fire safety, things that are going to appeal to both students that are in town as well as on the farm. And I always tell my teachers, even though the topics that we do that are ag related, PTO safety, farm equipment, tractor safety, most of these kids were still in an ag community, and a lot of these kids still have friends that they go out to the farms and visit. And a lot of these kids probably need those lessons more so than those kids that are out on the farm, because their kids are out on the farm are always dealing with those and situations, whereas the kids coming out just to visit or experience farm life are not necessarily or have those in-person experiences right all the time. So I say it's just as important for those kids to get all the lessons as what the rural kids get. So but progressive ag safety days, if you want to apply for those, they will take those applications up through July 1st or 10th or whatever it is, but and then they select all the communities that are going to that they award to and let you know in August, I think, and then you go through your training through the fall and winter months, and then you can do your safety day sometime that next year.
Thanks, Brian. And I see Caroline put a link in the chat box about progressive ag, so you can go in there and check that out and sign up for that and apply. Next question I see from Sarah Clemens. She wants to know some more information on your Harvest North Dakota 4-H for the 4th graders.
Harvest North Dakota for 4th grade. Again, it's very similar to what a Egg in the Classroom event is in Minot or Fargo or Bismarck. We joined forces with our Ransom County Farmers Union group many years ago. One of the first years I think I was here in Ransom County. And we wanted to do something with the 4th grade with the Egg in the Classroom curriculum. And so we kind of modeled it after the Egg in the Classroom events that happen throughout the state. And we invite commodity groups. We have success with some. We don't have much success with some of the others due to staffing, don't have enough staff, so on and so forth. But we get quite a few of our commodity groups in. And then we also have some other things. Our public health will come in and talk about some first aid or safety type things. Deb will participate and do some nutrition type topics or something along those lines. And we usually have about 20 different stations. And again, we get close to 300 kids there from the surrounding communities that come in for the day and spend the day and go through and learn about North Dakota agriculture. And yeah, that's kind of what that program is.
Thanks. Okay, now I see Caroline said, how long are your safety day lessons? And then kind of a combination is, and Hannah said, how do for those that do farm safety day, is it easier to go with this option or come up with curriculum on your own? So how long are they and which is easier?
Our progressive ag safety day topics, they spend 20 minutes at each station, and we will have, depending on number of classes, we try to run 8 to 9 lessons during the day. So we have them from 9:30 till about 2 o'clock, a little after 2 o'clock. And, you know, I know there's several agents that do the progressive ag safety days across the state. I know I do, or we do here. Sargent County does. I believe Caroline does. Acacia does. And then I forget which one's up heading up north do, but there's quite a few that do safety days through Progressive Ag Safety. You know, I think you could do it both ways. I just like the convenience that Progressive Ag Safety has with all the topics and curriculum already provided. So it's all been put together by people that have done research on it and everything. So it's all science-based information, and it works for us. So.
And another other idea I was going to throw out too, I used to do Progressive Ag Safety Day when I was an agent. And so like Ron said, you get your t-shirts, you get some bags. And we used to always I used to go to my presenters because I didn't just do all the lessons myself or just like use every single lesson from that they give you. Actually, I would contact NRCS, USDA people, our Farm Bureau people would do tractor safety, had large animal safety. I know Brian said they did 9. I did 14, and we did a rotation around our our arena and our fairgrounds. And so they rotated every I think it was less than 20 minutes long, and we fed them lunch, and that was provided by the ladies of our Farm Bureau. So all that was donated. So I didn't necessarily follow the lessons they gave us, but I actually sought people out in my county that could provide lessons that had to do with safety. I know we had 4-wheeler safety. We had a nurse do rescue breathing, CPR. We did something on snakes. That was always really big in Mississippi, snake safety. We also had a thing called the drunk goggles, and it would simulate having X number of ounces of alcohol. And so I always did the 5th graders throughout my whole county. So just kind of reach out to people in your county as well that could provide good information for youth, and that worked for me as well. And one thing I always did was take the t-shirts ahead of time to the schools so the kids could wear them on the day of the event, and always was a good promotional photo opportunity. And the bags too, I would give them ahead of time because if you give things out to youth at an event, you're just going to have to end up picking up all those flowers afterwards on the ground. It's just a disaster. So we just sent them to the schools, and the teachers gave them to them before they went home that day. So that was kind of my input about how I did it. And it was always a good opportunity, I thought. And then I see Hannah said about insurance. She said she's putting together a small afternoon safety day and where can get insurance. I see Dean put American Income Life, the special risk division. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you weren't on, Erin Bain is talking in May, and she's actually going to do a really good hour presentation about when you need to get special activity insurance, when you don't, overnight events. So, but yes, check that one out, Hannah. That would be excellent for special activity insurance. Any other questions?
I think it'd be fun to hear in the last 10 minutes. I know some of you others on here, Brian had mentioned, that he would love to hear some others. I know there's a lot of awesome stuff that goes on throughout the state, Ward County, Melissa, what are some of the things that you guys do that you can maybe highlight for others on the call? Anybody can go ahead and speak up.
Now you put them on the spot.
I know.
So what do you want to know?
What are some of the fun things that you guys that maybe are different from what the amazing things that Brian and Deb kind of went over? They have a really awesome assortment of what they've been doing, but there's so much other creative things that we're also doing across the state. So what are some things that maybe you can help others on here highlight that you guys do across the state?
This isn't anything that's super fancy and definitely could be improved. But when I always try to find out when parent-teacher conferences are and set up a little booth where they come in and walk in. I'm not always the best at manning the booth because there's sometimes days when I'm just yeah, no, I think I've done my duty for the week. We'll put up the poster, and if people are interested, they can pick up a flyer and everything like that. But I guess it's something's better than nothing.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Hannah.
One year, McHenry County had, One year, McHenry County had gone into kind of the younger classrooms in the county, and we did what household poisons look like. And how they compared to like candies or other things. I thought that one was really good. It was a lot of talking, and it almost got too long for those little kids. But the other thing that I want to just say is, like, where did the yuck stickers go? I miss those things. I totally would like yuck sticker my house if I could.
Just on that point too.
I don't even know what you're talking about. But it
If you
sounds
think
cool.
of all of the PRC coordinators in the different districts, I think should have access to some of those pill displays with what the pills are, like their candy that look like pills, and those are kind of neat. So if you are going to do something like that, you might want to just look right within your own district for
That is
some
exactly what I
resources.
used.
Mhm.
And Rachel, I was gonna say too, like ours was called lookalikes. And I remember in our county, our farm bureau had access to that. So we did have the lookalike station for Farm Safety Day. So that was a really good one I liked. Emily, were you gonna share something?
Oh, I don't know. I tuned in late to this call because I was on another meeting. But you guys talked a lot about day camps, and I feel like we don't have very many programming specifically to Cloverbud families. So that's what I try to highlight day camps for in our county. We are throwing around ideas of like a cupcake decorating contest, and maybe turning that into a day camp, kind of doing like the chopped theme like you had said. Just making it either a couple days or completely virtual. We haven't decided yet, but there's lots of ideas out there. I'm sure everyone's got awesome ones to share.
Thank you guys for sharing. I know there are a million out there, but it's definitely fun to hear what you guys are up to. The cupcake decorating one would be a blast, I'm sure. What else is out there? Sarah, you're creative. Come in. What are you guys doing up there in Botno?
Well, I usually do a Cloverbud Day Camp in August. We didn't last year just because of COVID and everything. I usually do like a 3-year rotation because those 5-year-olds will then go through a different camp all 3 years, and then I'll start the camps over and kind of recycle them that way to keep her in bay at least, because they could be creating camps every year. We do the kids crops, compost, and consumption in the 3rd grade classrooms. Here we just finished in one school, and we're about halfway through or quarter of the way through with our Botno school. We've been throwing around ideas about different activity days and things like that with our current 4-H members. We do like a petting zoo, or one local club does a petting zoo at one of our like there's a parade and things like that during our crazy days. That's what I was thinking of. During the fair, we're doing an archery shootout on the football field to try and promote our shooting sports. So yeah, we try to do a lot. I mean, I feel like we don't do enough sometimes, but then sometimes I think we do too much, so I don't know.
I really like all these ideas, and so I'm writing down what people have said. And so I'm going to come up with like a way, they're like a Google Drive or Teams or something that we can share this kind of information. And if you don't mind, I'll probably reach out to you and see if you can share some of these ideas, and we can put them in a place that all of us can look at. And if you need an idea, you could go here and get it. So I wrote down some things that y'all said, and so I'll probably reach out to you personally about those. So I really like this sharing ideas. And so, because we all do such great things. And so, what you just shared, Sarah, then somebody else was like, oh, I want to do that too. So we can all learn from each other. So I appreciate all this today.
One of your other great recruitments is getting your older youth involved to teach your younger kids, or getting out to promote 4-H. Deb started our 4-H ambassador program here in the county a few years ago, kind of replaced one of our other type of programs, but it is an opportunity for those youth to get out and interact and engage with our younger youth. They've been a great resource here for us in the last a few years. Just recently, they helped conduct a program during our showcase event. When there was dead time, they worked with our kids on those CSI kits that Deb put together, and we had crime scene investigation going on when they weren't in showcase. And if you look back at those, the day camp slide, one of those pictures had a youth in there that was a participant, and then the other picture showed him as one of our 4-H ambassadors. So he went from being a participant to actually helping out and teaching at that next camp a few years later. So getting them involved and getting them active really helps too.
Such great stuff being shared. What are some other things that you guys have in the couple minutes that we have left? It's, you know, Megan said that she's going to kind of capture a lot of this. I think that one of the things that I continually hear is an opportunity for just idea sharing has kind of been missing in the past couple of years across our state. And so this is a perfect platform for that. And I really appreciate, you know, the time that Brian and Deb took to bring all of their thoughts together and share those. And those of you guys that are sharing right now, don't be afraid to, there's no wrong or bad idea. If you have something that you're doing and you think it's cool or you're proud of it, or maybe you're doing it and you'd like to build it up a little bit, this is an opportunity to share and ask for help or ask for ideas. Maybe you're not sharing something, but you need something, ask away.
I see a question from Sue Millender. So I guess this is for Brian and Deb. Is Showcase the same as Project Expo?
Yes, it just encompasses Project Expo, Buy and Show, Sew and Show, all of those activities. So we just call it Showcase. And one other thing I was going to add too, you know, don't be afraid to share some of the things that you're doing. You know, oftentimes there's chamber groups or Lions clubs or whatever that ask you to come and speak. And it's a great chance to share some of those stories. I have shared that pumpkin seed story many times. We had another little boy that shared right in his classroom the next year when we came back, and he said his pumpkin seed, he had gotten 30 some pumpkins off that, and he sold those and gave $100 to a man that his dad worked with that was having open heart surgery. So tell those kind of stories. I mean, it makes a huge difference, you know, and how proud these kids can be that they could grow this one seed into something that big and then do community service things with it. And so I think it just always promotes 4-H too at the same time.
That's a really good idea. Excellent, Deb. Thanks for saying that, for sure. I see one more thing in the chat from Summer. She said they did clover buds, they made slime. It was messy, they put plastic down beforehand, but parents loved it because they didn't have to do it in their house. So yeah, I think they would love it because they don't have it messy at their house. So good idea.
And those, I did one like that. I called it Goop Gap Slime and a Snack or something like that. And we did it in the park. So then that way, I mean, you know, you got to wipe down the tables and stuff afterwards. But if it spilled, it was just spilling in the grass and not in somebody's room or house. And the kids, they love making those concoctions and mixing that stuff up. So that one was a lot of fun too.
And I was going to say, don't forget about the community service pieces that you get those youth involved in. And our junior ambassadors or junior leaders just did a penny war for their community thing, and they were supporting a local organization that does clothing and school supplies for their peers that don't have the same sort of resources. And I mean, it wasn't absolutely perfect, but it was so much fun seeing them interact with all of the classrooms. They wore their shirts that they had for their junior leader shirts as they were collecting money. They got the teachers to get super excited about it. It really, you know, there's ideas that they could do. I didn't expect them to use their school when they were looking for community service, but the schools were really open to it because it was, you know, it all interconnected. So another great way to not just always do something fun, but something that they can learn about and serve their communities too.
Thanks for sharing that, Carrie. I really like that. Thank you. All right, well, I see we're approaching noon, so I don't want to keep you longer, but one last call for any questions, comments, thoughts, sharing ideas. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody sharing. I really thank Brian and Deb for putting together their PowerPoint and sharing their pictures from all their events. And I definitely learned a lot today because I'd heard about their great events for a while now, and so I'm glad they got to share it. And we also got to hear from ideas from everybody else. So I appreciate that as well. I'll send out this recording. So if you want to go back and watch it, you can, and the PowerPoint, and then I'll send out their Expo promo, and then I'm going to put together something that we can all share from. And so I wrote down some people's names. So I might be reaching out to you to say, hey, send me that, and we can all learn from one another. So one last time, just a final little commercial for May 19th on a Wednesday. Erin Bain for American Income Life will be doing the webinar and answer your questions. So have your questions ready for her that day. She's excited. I've talked to her and she's ready to go. We'll take off the month of June and July for fairs and all our summer activities, and we'll pick back up in August. And Rochelle will be presenting in August with their 4-H Easy training in August. So we'll have those to look forward to. All right, well, thank you all again for joining us. And I'm very inspired by hearing all this today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their day and rest of their week.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Megan.